All right, hello, citizens of the Nigerverse. It is Niger here once again. Now, nowadays we have a lot of reality TV shows. You have your Love Islands, Love Is Blind, Temptation Island, all kinds of stuff. But unfortunately, as a kid, I didn't really have that. I didn't really watch a lot of reality TV growing up, mainly because it was a bit more adult oriented and unfortunately, as I've mentioned a few times on the channel, my parents were a little strict growing up, so I didn't really watch a whole lot of shows like Survivor or Lost or anything like that. I don't know how adult oriented they were. I believe they were kinda, but I never really bothered. But thankfully, the Cartoon Network had just the show for me. Total drama. For me, this was my Love Island. This was my Temptation Island. Total Drama was quite the show growing up. Especially growing up as a big fan of Cartoon Network. It very much was heavily inspired by Survivor. It had some stuff that probably you would constitute being a bit more adult. But hey, as long as I didn't get caught, it was fine. But Total Drama was quite the show growing up. Like, if you didn't grow up watching Total Drama, yeah, you probably still had a fun childhood. I'm not gonna be one of those people that said, "Oh, if you didn't watch this show growing up, then your childhood sucked." Nah, that's not the case. But you definitely did miss out. So, starting with Total Drama Island, there has been several seasons of Total Drama to this point. Admittedly, I kind of fell off after the Redonkulous race. The Redonkulous race wasn't necessarily awful. It was just very mid, at least to me. But I grew up first with Total Drama Island, and Total Drama was always a lot of fun. Like I said, it was very based off survivors. We had the contestants, we had them do all kinds of challenges, ranging from not that bad to absolutely ridiculous. I even saw some elements of like Fear Factor within the show. There was definitely some elements of that as well. But Total Drama was a lot of fun growing up, and it had several seasons. The first was Total Drama Island, and where they start off at Camp Wawanakwa, and it's worth mentioning it's a Canadian based TV show, and a lot a lot of the voice actors and everything carried over from the show 16. Now 16 I had watched growing up, and they totally lied to me about what being a teenager was all about. So I still hold kind of a grudge, but otherwise still a very fun show. Oh, this time Chris Potenza, the guy who played Jude on 16, now plays his host Chris McLean, and who is pretty much like Jigsaw, but somehow even crazier and in human form. At least I believe Jigsaw's a human. You can tell I haven't watched any of the Saw movies, but Chris McLean, he was something. He was absolutely out there, but he stole the show almost every time. I'm and and every and there was all kinds of contestants as well. So starting with the first season, my personal faves growing up, I had quite a few of them. Heather, everybody hated Heather. I did not. I was not a big fan of Heather. Duncan, in like the earlier seasons, Duncan was really cool. I'm trying to think who else I really liked, really gravitated towards. DJ, loved DJ. Hey, but it started off with Total Drama Island and all kinds of stuff up within the island, and they definitely went there. They definitely kind of pushed the boundaries for what would be considered for a younger demographic. And hey, I'm not really mad at it, but including one episode, specifically one challenge where Harold accidentally he rips off Heather's shirt, and her bits are exposed. It's obviously pixelated, but absolutely wild, and the internet definitely had a field day with that. So Total Drama was just all over the place. And honestly, no amount of words can do it justice. If you haven't checked out the show, I definitely recommend going back to the earlier season. I believe they're still on Netflix. I'll look it up in just a second. But we had Total Drama Island. And sorry, I moved away from the mic so I could grab my phone. But we had Total Drama Island, and the next season was Total Drama Action, which took place on a movie set, and almost every challenge was movie related. It not like specific movie, but a lot of movie genres such as like sci-fi, horror, stuff like that. And that season not as good as the first one, but was still really cool. Well, then we had Total Drama World Tour. In my opinion, Total Drama World Tour is the best season of Total Drama, at least to me personally. Some of its characterizations, such as like when Duncan cheated on Courtney to be with Gwen, that stuff kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Hey, even as an adult, obviously, I'm more so like as a kid, I was a lot saltier about it. As an adult, I was more so like, that's kind of weird. I guess because they're both kind of punk slash kind of gothy, so putting them together. But that also, I think, helps the dynamic of Duncan and Courtney was that they were polar opposites. Courtney was a lot more stuck up and everything. Meanwhile, Duncan was more like the punk, but but nevertheless, World Tour was a lot of fun. Going to several different countries, he's singing just about every episode. If you're not a fan of singing, you probably would not be a fan of this particular season. But World Tour was a lot of fun. And including Alejandro pretty much getting the Darth Vader treatment. Then there was Revenge of the Island, which took place once again on Camp Wawanakwa, but at this time the camp and the island is full of toxic radiation, so everything is mutated. I don't remember if they had any like mutated turtles to make like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reference, but if they didn't, that's kind of a missed opportunity, at least for me. But hey, what can you do, you know? But Revenge of the Island, I think Revenge of the Island is probably where a good portion of people will dropped off. But me personally, I loved Revenge of the Island. Revenge of the Island had some of my like. So here's the thing: I hadn't mentioned the cast for Action or World Tour because they carried over. There was like one or two new characters. And also I'm looking here on Netflix. Like, they only have Total Drama Island and Total Drama Action on Netflix, which that does suck because they used to have all the seasons, um, but nope, just Total Drama Island in action on Netflix. So do with that what you will, I guess. But nevertheless, as Revenge of the Island had some of my other favorite characters that wasn't the original cast. There was Mike, who had the multiple personalities, and he definitely stole the show on a lot of occasions. He was definitely one of my favorite characters, and his relationship with Zoe was very cute, who to say the least. He's and sadly, he would not want end up winning that season. He would kind of win the next season, which will be All Stars, which was kind of a combination of some of the characters from the original seasons and then from Revenge of the Island. And one of the things that kind of always I wouldn't say weirded me out, but was kind of like, was as they pretended like they had no idea who was within the robots, but we remembered it was Alejandro from World Tour. Or actually, now I think about it, I don't know if we were supposed to know that, but I sure as hell did. Um, but yeah, there was All Stars. All Stars I didn't quite like as much. It was kind of kind of a nothing burger of a season, at least for me and for quite a few people. Now, All Stars I think is the shortest season, I want to say, of Total Drama, but it was okay. It just kind of lacked little bit of that pizzazz. And then there was Pocket Two Island. Now, I'm gonna go against the grain and go against what a lot of people say, but I didn't mind Pocket Two Island. And admittedly, Pocket Two Island was where I kind of checked out. I don't remember a whole lot. I remember some of the characters like Sean, who was the big like conspiracy theorist, Jasmine, who was the tall Amazon on I remember there was the one Snow White esque character, or but Otherwise, I don't remember a whole lot of Pocket Island, but it wasn't necessarily bad. It was just kind of compared to everything else, it was just kind of mid, at least for me. And then the Redonkulous Race, the Redonkulous Race, which was like a parody of the Ridiculous Race, I believe. Redonkulous Race wasn't bad. It was just very, um, excuse me, it was just very not great hate. It's kind of and it didn't help that Chris McClain wasn't here for this season. They actually had a new guy, and I do not remember his name, and I'm not gonna bother looking it up. But it did have a new guy, and so no Chris McClain, which not cool dudes. See, and they did it, but not cool dudes, but yeah, Redonkulous Race, and then that's where I checked out. I think they had a couple other seasons. I think there was Total Drama Rama where they were kids for some reason. I think I remember that, or that might have been a fever dream. And then they had a reboot of sorts. Yeah. So Total Drama was something that I very much grew up with. Now Chris Potenza ended up not voicing Chris McClain, and after a certain point because he was accused of some pretty heinous stuff. I believe it was part of the Me Too movement. Now, how I don't remember if anything ever came of that. He's denied the allegations, but they unfortunately removed him because of it. It's like I said, I don't think anything ever came of it, so I don't know for sure if they were true or not. But that does suck. As for the seasons, and uh, and the reason I said kind of when it comes to the winners is because depending on the regions, there'll be two different winners. So, I remember the first season, and the winner here in the United States was Owen, who I absolutely loved from the first season. And then the runner up was I believe Gwen, if I'm not mistaken. And but I believe in Canada, Gwen was the winner. So depending on the region, you had different winners. So for action, it was Beth and Duncan, and who were the two? I believe in the United States, it was Beth. Uh, and then in World Tour, or the two I'm just gonna say co-winners, even though technically only one ends up winning, but and one becomes the runner-up. But just for the sake of not confusing myself and you guys, as World Tour was Heather and Alejandro. Revenge of the Island was Cameron and Lightning, and Lightning was very hilarious. But also did love Cameron, aka the Bubble Boy. Then All Stars was Mike and Scott, I want to say, or it might have been Mike and Zoe. I want to say they competed for the last spot, and I also do remember that All Stars was the season where Zoe and Mike officially started dating, especially after Mike had to regain control of his personalities after Mal came in. And then Pakatu Island was, I believe, Sky and Sean. On Redonkulous Race, I don't even remember who won. Yeah, a huge fan of Total Drama growing up. It's a show that definitely pushed the envelope and had a lot of crazy moments, and a lot of times where times that genuinely kind of peeved me, even as a kid. It Such as how in season one, Lashana got eliminated on some BS. The undertones are there, and for the sake of keeping things moving along, I'm not gonna comment on them, but they're very much there. And some stuff that was said on the shows that you definitely can't say nowadays because it was a different time, you know. But for my younger years, for my formative years, that essentially was my kind of temptation slash Love Island. Was Total Drama, and it's a show that has even in going back and watching it, some stuff hasn't aged the best, but there's a lot of fun a lot of fun, cool, goofy characters, and I do like how there's such a range of characters. Some are quirky, some are very malicious. It's very, very much a parody of like the reality shows, like I said, like Lost, like Survivor, like um et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. But it's all that and more was very evident within the show. Oh, and of course, can't forget Chef. Chef was the chef, but also kind of a little bit of everything. He wore more hats and had more jobs on the show than freaking Barbie. But Chef was hilarious, and Chef definitely was the man. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it. And thank you for kind of helping me, for coming along with me as I reminisce on my childhood once again, which is kind of what the month is for. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this discussion video. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on those post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you never miss an upload. And sorry for the kind of incoherent ramblings, but it's always nice to reflect on the childhood. But nevertheless, let me know in the comment section below if you watched Total Drama growing up, and if you did, what were your thoughts? Did you love the show? Did you hate it? Let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. In the meantime, though, and I will see you guys later. Peace, and remember, stay cool, dudes.